In an era of unprecedented access to information, journalism stands as the pillar of truth, guiding us through the complexities of our interconnected world. From the breaking news to in-depth investigations, journalists are at the forefront, uncovering stories that impact our lives and holding power accountable. But what does it truly mean to be a journalist in today's fast-paced and ever-changing media landscape? How do journalists navigate the ethical dilemmas, the demand for immediacy, and the pursuit of objective reporting? Today, we bring you an insightful conversation with a seasoned journalist as we explore the changes and triumphs of the Fourth Estate.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's interview. I'm Jan Lester Baldos.
And hello everyone, I am Catherine Joy Entrata. And for today, our guest is no other than Miss Rachel L. Enriquez, a station manager and also a radio broadcaster at 96.9 Energy FM, Radio Astig, Coronadal. We're thrilled to have you here today, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Without further ado, let's start with a question about your journey on journalism. What made you want to become a journalist?
Right, was there someone or something that inspired you or influenced you to become one?
Hello. Before I answer the question, I would like to introduce myself. I am Rachel Lash Enriquez, and just like what they said, I am the station manager. But it has a long journey since that I have been a manager in this kind of setup now. And my inspiration is my father. My father is a broadcaster for 30 years now. Before the world began, before napanganak ako, no, journalist na siya and media na siya. And I started my journey when I was 14 years old. The first time that I talked in front of microphone, I was still in Bigo City back then, and I became a DJ. And until I learned how to write news, how to broadcast, newscasting, and of course talk show and entertainment.
Oh, that's very insightful, Miss Rachel. But of course, given that with that response of yours, it seems to me that you are already acquainted, well with journalism as early as 14 years old. But have you had like a formal education about journalism or media or somehow a related subject?
When it comes to journalism, supposedly my first course is mass communication. But then my father told me that it'll be a waste of money since he's already in the field. So my first course was accountancy. I really do not have the formal education for this matter. However, I have acquainted a lot of successful broadcasters in Davao, Bigo City, and here in City of Coronadal, which they shared their their learnings for how many years. I do believe that there's a lot of technicalities when it comes to this industry, when it comes to writings, when it comes to broadcasting on air, online. But then the most important thing in journalism is that you experience, you learn through experiences, and you learn through experiences of other broadcasters.
Yes.
Theoretically, marami tayong nababasa sa mga libro, pero sobrang layo naman sa mga totoong buhay kung ano talagang nangyayari sa harap ng mikropono.
Yes, that's wonderful. So, how long have you been doing this?
Since I was 14 years old and I'm 26 now, it has been 12 years. Tama ba? I'm not really sure. 12 years ba? Yes, 12 years.
So it seems to me that, of course, experience indeed, that you are a living testimony that experience is the best teacher, right? But moving on, what has been your favorite story that you want to cover?
Actually, there are a lot of stories. In my few years here in radio broadcasting, I have covered a lot of personal stories from my listeners when it comes to love and advices. When it comes to news, I also covered a lot from political matters. Until now, I am covering through press conference of our government. I am covering different projects from the government. But most importantly, I'm so tired actually of covering a lot of political problems, no? And yung mga problema sa ekonomiya natin. Lahat kasi na on air natin sa radyo, kahit saan ka makinig, puro may bad news. And what I love to cover is the good news. Anything that the netizens, anything that the public will be able to learn, will be able to be informed, will be able to benefit. Okay, so I think my most favorite story is that this is a story of the two lovers na naging bridge ako para magpakasala sila sa isang programa ko. So it may not be very interesting because this is a personal matter of my two listeners. Pero yung mag-PPM na lang sa'yo na ma'am, yung binigay mong textmate sa akin, ikakasala na kami. So it may be very corny ha, pero yan yung fun na nandito ka sa industriya natin.
Yes, that's very interesting to know that the love advices, diba, it may catch up the attention of everybody. On the flip side, what has been the most challenging story that you write?
This is about the Maguindanao massacre, where a lot of broadcasters were killed during airing those stories. And I was still, maybe I was 16 years old back then. However, we were obliged to share our insights. Kahit na minor pa lang tayo, hindi naman kasi alam ng mga tagapakinig ko na minor pa lang ako dati. Kasi iba yung boses ko sa ano. And yun nga, it is very challenging where Maguindanao massacre story is a living testimony that being in the journalism industry, it's really not that safe. It's really not that guaranteed that we will live a happy life. Our job is to cover a lot of stories that is authentic. That's really what's happening in our society. And sadly, majority that's happening in our society is all negative. It's all about killings. It's all about corruption and all that. So, yun nga, that was very challenging dahil sa point na lahat ng mga nagka-cover ng stories na yan, hindi namin alam na baka bukas kami na naman ang mawawala. So, that's it.
Yeah, by the looks of it, of course, definitely, there are different stories that we want to cover. They're good and bad. On the good side, of course, we have mentioned that it sounds to me that you became a bridge, between two lovers, right? With the help of journalism. And at the same time, of course, bad news is very inevitable. They always happen, every now and then. And most of the time, they are the majority, in the broadcasting industry, like in the media, mainstream media, social media, especially in today. We're already in digital era. But and how do you come up with ideas for stories, rather? Like, do you have an A to Z steps, or do you have a do's and don'ts, perhaps, or personalized format or standardized formats, perhaps?
It is actually very technical when you write stories or you broadcast stories. What's my technique is, this is very personal, but my technique is, I always, before I cover stories, before I broadcast stories, I need to know who's listening to me and who is my reader. So as for me, my target market in my imaging here in broadcasting, my target markets are the young people and the young adults. So when covering stories, I need to know what are the things that they need to hear. Okay, so first and foremost, what is the things that I need to priority when it comes to sharing the stories is that it must be informative for the students and for young professionals. And of course, before giving some insightful comments about certain issues that these young professionals and students that are involved, this is not just for me, but this is for everyone in the industry, that we need to be very authentic and we need to be very balanced. Before giving side comments, we need to know first what's the story of both sides, okay? Because that is our utmost duty, to really be fair and square. by giving our judgment. Because in this industry, medias have a lot of influence. So, kung alam nyo lang, maraming mga politiko ngayon galing sa media. Graphic Tulfo, Mambing Fabi Arakel, Sir Chow, so on and forth. Kaya ganun tayo ka-influential sa journalism. Isang sulat lang natin with a dirty word in our story, nakaka-flip yan ng mindset ng tao. So, yun lang. Be very careful. Be very fair and square. Be very authentic. It's more than anything is that ayoko talagang nagko-comment lang. I always do my research first before anything else. I always do my research. Marami ngayon kasi ang trying media parang natabunan na kita. The TV, radio, and newspaper, natabunan na kita because of social media. Mas marami na ngayong news sa social media na unang nagba-viral kahit fake news naman eh. And what's very unfair about it is that majority of the stories in social media is not even authentic. It's not even fair at all. We do not know the two sides of the story. That's what we are trying to straighten here in the industry of tri-media. We need to be fair. We need to know first the both sides of the stories before covering news and stories on air and of course through writings.
So, as a journalist, once you have an idea for a story, how do you go about researching it?
I actually, it's very, sabi nila na ang internet and technology nagiging kalaban na ng lahat. However, I do believe that we need to be acquainted with technology and connectivity. I do utilize technology and connectivity. Madali na lang mag-research ngayon. If you just know original websites, if you just know that etong mga kinukunan natin ng informations ay totoo talaga. And aside from researching online, I also do as much as possible is interviewing people. No? Kasi walang mas authentic pa sa mga experience ng mga tao. Lalo na yung mga tao pumupunta dito na reklamo sila sa mga na-experience nila and all that. So, syempre, pag nagre-reklamo sila, pupuntahan din natin yung mga nireklamuhan nila at tatanungin natin yung side nila just before we broadcast it. So, that's it. Online researching and face-to-face interaction with the respondents.
I truly agree. Like authenticity, well, it's part of the ethics, of journalism. It's very basic. And at the same time, technology as well can be a boon or a bane,
Yes.
right? Wonderful, depending on who you use it and how you use it. But of course, as a an ethical journalist, you would probably definitely use it in your for your advantage, right? But let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the broader scope of journalism. What are your thoughts on freedom of the press?
Freedom of the press isn't just about sharing stories, and freedom of the press isn't just about, kasi yung issue ng freedom of the press during Duterte's administration, nag-boom siya kasi akala ng lahat ng mga media, hindi, majority ng lahat ng mga media, ang freedom of the press, pag close ng ABS-CBN, akala nila lahat kami ay mag-close na din. So, it wasn't true. In fact, freedom of the press isn't just for the industry, it isn't just about the media, kami na ng mga professionals na nandito. It's also about the people who's also sharing their stories online. Freedom of the press is limitizing things na hindi din kita maghatag sa mga fake news. Okay? So it's not about prohibiting the medias to talk and to share our ideas, to share our insights, and to question this political people na mga offending. Kasi dyan talaga nag-start parang fake news daw, offending daw kami mag-question, but it's not about that. It's like in the law that liberty is about, or freedom is about doing just the right things and never the wrong. Always cover original facts only, and never your opinions. Parang ganun po. Freedom of the press is a friend to media. Tinuturuan tayo paano maging responsable sa lahat ng mga sasabihin natin at isusulat natin. Hindi dahil para ma-close ang mga station natin, para mauntat kita kasturya. but to limitize us. Dahil, believe it or not, in this industry, maraming mga tao na nag-take advantage ng kanilang influensya sa pagsulat at sa pagbalita sa on-air and online na damo sa mga fake sound stories. So, it's about that.
So, Miss, we all know that ethics is crucial in journalism. Am I right? So, what are your thoughts in journalistic ethics?
Journalism ethics is that it doesn't actually go far from other ethical considerations given in education. Journalism ethics is isa lang din whatever happens is that we always go back in our values. We never tolerate wrong things. Yet we never just replace our values for sort of money. Majority, or not just majority, or some of the medias will be fed by an amount of money in exchange of fake news. That is why we need to go back in our values. That's it. That's the number one thing about journalism ethics.
And you mentioned a few before, but do you have a specific type of like story that you specialize in?
As you all know, I have shared a while ago that I was a DJ and I was very good in talk show. However, when it comes to writings, I do believe that journalism specify in writings. I do write feature writings and news writing. So when you write news writing, you need to answer WH questions and all that. Feature writing is that you need to engage more in the story and the experiences of people. Just like what I'm doing in the radio. Pinipit lang natin sa salita, papunta sa sulat.
As you mentioned earlier, you have been there 10 or 12 years?
12 years.
Yes.
12 years.
Like
12
years, around 12 years.
So it means you've covered numerous stories throughout your career. So could you share some of the most important one?
The most important one was during the election of the last election between Lenny Robredo and Rodrigo Duterte, and a lot of medias were trying to go on war, not drugs on war on drugs, but media war, because of the political division that has happened years ago. And that was an eye-opener to everyone that whoever will win in a political position is that we're just the same. Parehas naman kita. Obra lang din kami. And it's very crucial to really talk about online and on-air about politics. Kahit kayo siguro na-experience nyo ng silika pa nung doon sa Facebook, kaya ilain ka mo sa belief politically. It's really crucial. It's really challenging. Dahil maraming mag-hate sa'yo, maraming side comments. But it's an eye-opener that no matter whatever the division that politics may give us, especially in this industry, magkita ay lang yapon kita sa press con. Magkita ay lang yapon kita sa mga media activities kag magbuliganan. So that's it. I would like to clarify, it's because that I believe that theoretically you are studying journalism through this subject and through these books. I specialize more than writings. Okay, so you might be very curious dahil iba siguro yung mga ina-expect ninyong answer ko kasi we wanted to be very formal and gusto natin maging align siya sa mga books, pero iba talaga kasi sa radyo talaga ako. Sa radyo talaga ako. I may write it, pero at the end of the day, I do not post my writings. I broadcast my writings. So I communicate people not through writing but through broadcasting.
Different media.
Yeah.
But of course, you have mentioned that as early as 14 years old, I think, and also your father is a journalist before. For you, like, how has journalism changed over the years since you started your career?
Journalism was very tough before technology and connectivity has arisen. We have been very in demand. The tri-media have been very in demand to people. Yung mga tao dati nanonood ng TV, nakikinig ng radyo, nagbabasa ng newspapers. Ang mga journalist, ang mga influencer sa ngayon na generation. But as time goes by, the tri-media, the TV, radio, and newspaper have been quite in demand and have been not making a noise from 2010 above until now because of social media. And that is why that by managing this station, I do not want to be to make that as a disadvantage, but to make that as an advantage. Kaya naman, kung alam natin na walang nakikinig sa atin at nanonood sa atin at nagbabasa ng mga news natin, let us use social media to really spread authentic news. And it might be very challenging, but I do believe that, once again, technology and connectivity is a friend of trying.
So many years have changed.
It changed a lot. No, it changed a lot because the demands of people are changing also, and we need to cope up with that demands. We need to cope up with that qualities that they needed. And kaya nag-change din tayo, nag-digitalize din tayo. Okay?
Yes,
So
of course. Like, for example, as I have observed, of course, you are a radio broadcaster. At the same time, you are doing a live Facebook Live, live streaming rather. So that's another way to reach more people or audiences that do not, usually or already disregarding, radio, listening to radios. But like you mentioned before, there's authenticity, but also accuracy and fairness is included. How do you ensure these aspects are in your reporting?
it may not be very perfect. It will never be perfect. There is no such thing as perfect fairness. But as a journalist, you really need to have a good judgment. You really need to understand both situations, any situations, before giving thoughts about a story. Kasi baka ang standards mo, iba yung standards ng tao eh. Ang authenticity mo, baka iba din yung authenticity ng tao. Ang pagka-fair mo, baka iba din ang pagka-fair ng ibang tao. Iba't iba tayo ng perception eh. It's not just we carry a lot more loads than other people because we carry the influence and we carry the right to share news and stories. What's more important is that we know in ourselves, especially, that we have a good judgment. And by knowing that, we need to know those people who also have the same thoughts about us, the same thoughts with us, okay? Kaya yun, bago ako talaga na when it comes to this, to issues, to giving thoughts about issues, to writings and broadcasting, balaan ko dapat na kung sino ang magbasa, sino ang maglantaw sa akin, so that I will be aligned with the same people, the same mindset as me.
A while ago, we said that the crucial one is the ethics. Have you experienced being criticized for a story you covered?
It is actually very normal to be criticized, especially. And I was once criticized in a press conference for asking a question that really affects political belief of one political person here in City of Coronel. I was criticized because I haven't filtered my mouth by questioning. No. However, I'm not affected because I was so happy that people may be able to know who's the people who are deserving to be voted. And by that criticism, I might be criticized by this people who have the same belief in politics. I believe that I also help a lot of people who doesn't have any know about their rights and about anything about politics. So I think that's it. By questioning one political
So
person.
it means that you handle it well, you have a strong personality. And
I guess because majority of those people whom I question, hindi ko naman inaaway. Question lang naman. Diba? So, I'm just doing my job.
So one word for that is more like, truthfulness. You're exposing lies. You
Yeah.
don't actually, let yourself be influenced by others. And at the same time, about verifying information sources, like how do you do like fact checking? Like do you have like a specific website you always go to, or do you have other people like primary sources, secondary sources, perhaps?
We have these primary sources where public do not know. Okay, primary sources are those people, very private people who have this sensitive informations from above, and we call that black media. When you say black media, it is news that are prohibited to be shared by the people. It's just that ito yung information na alam namin na hindi dapat alam ng mga public. So that will be part of the primary. However, meron ding mga media na galing talaga sa taas, lalo na kasi yung government nagsusupport sa amin na kailangan talaga, ito yung prioritize headline yan. Yan. So, before we fact check, kasi hindi naman talaga lahat totoo we also need to ask our co-medias in different stations kung have you also received this kind of information? If not, meron tayong second source, which is the website and news websites, just like Rappers, ABS-CBN, GMA, CNN. That will be the second, or other articles online. That will be the second source. So pinaka lang talaga is the primary source which people do not know kung sino-sino sila.
yes, so sometimes people may refuse to talk or provide information, especially the primary sources. So, have you ever faced any danger while covering a story?
This one incident here in the city of Coronadal where 3 people have gone into a vehicular accident, and I shared on Facebook that we need help. However, these people do not want to share their personal information, which the police and the healthcare workers need their information. It's not just, yan yung trabaho natin, alam natin kung saan ko kita maguntad. Because we need also, as much as we need to cover news, we also need to respect the what do you call this, the personal informations of our respondents. Kailangan din nga we respect their personal life also and personal decisions.
So, what do you think are the biggest challenges being faced with journalism?
I think, kasi dati, namamatay ang mga media, ngayon hindi naman na I think the greatest challenge is that our mental health, where we give our insights and people do not want our insights, they do not like our insights, mas nakakapagod siya when we will receive negative comments and people will search about our family, they will attack our family, so on and forth. Hindi ko na-experience yan, pero na-experience ng iba na nadadamay na pati ang pamilya nila dahil sa trabaho nila. That's very challenging because we have in this Generation Z where we practice cancel culture. And when you're a victim of cancel culture, it will be very painful.
Yes. So, Ms. Rachel, finally, how do you remain neutral in covering controversial stories?
I still do believe that working smart is better than working hard. Hindi tayo gadire-diretso lang balantagin kung sino ang mga dapat at hindi dapat na atubangon. Okay. When I cover controversial issues, I must, if it's really not in demand into the public, it's really not that helpful into the public, if it will just give stress into my listeners, I will just give side comments and really do not focus on that main controversial issue. But when the public is affected with this specific issue, I must and I need to open this up on air for the benefit of the public. Ito talaga kasi number one talaga is public affairs before news.
I've learned a lot today. Like, of course,
Yes.
even like the black media, I didn't know about that until now. But thank you, Miss Rachel, by the way, and it has been a pleasure speaking with you. Before we conclude our interview today, we would like to express our sincere appreciation for, of course, accommodating us. And of course,
Indeed, Miss Rachel. So, as a token of our gratitude, we would like to present you this.
Thank you. Certificate of appreciation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for visiting me. I hope that you have learned something. And if you will be interested with this field, go lang.
okay, so and also at the same time, we wish you continued success in your career, and also we're looking forward to your future endeavors as well. In journalism.
So, absolutely, thank you so much, Miss Rachel,
Thank you so much.
for sharing your expertise and experiences with us. We appreciate your determination and even your dedication to it.
And also, I'd like to read this one, for appreciation. The certificate of appreciation is proudly presented to Rachel L. Enriquez in recognition of her contribution as a guest on our documentary and interview for English 103 Campus Journalism held at 96.9 MGFM Radyo Astig Coronadal. The Green Valley College Foundation Incorporated School of Education extends its sincere appreciation and gratitude for sharing her time, knowledge, and expertise with us. We recognize and value her contributions and her commitment to excellence in journalism. Given this 11th of May 2023 at Radyo Astig Coronadal,
Thank you so much. Thank you, School of
Thank you.
Education. Thank you so much. And I hope that what I've shared today will also be shared to others so that they will be informed and they will be inspired. Thank you.
and we would also, by the way, I'd like to thank our listeners and viewers for joining us today.
So, remember, journalism plays a vital role in shaping our world.
So once again, I'm Jan Lester M. Balgos.
And I am Catherine Joy Entrata. Stay curious, stay engaged, and stay informed. Until next time.
Ayan, happy birthday, Carol. Sa assignment, share. And good morning, Ma'am Rachel. Thank you for allowing my students to conduct their interview in your radio station. God bless you. Well, Ma'am Rihanna, what is your role